I'll take this opportunity to introduce some of the presenters who are here. So with me is one of my colleagues, that is Professor Kennedy Mutundu. Maybe he can just stand up and wave. He's a graduate of the University of Nairobi and Washington University with up to 18 years of that's PhD university teaching and research, and vastly experienced in university administration. He's currently on full-time appointment as an associate professor in the Department of Social and Development Studies at Mount Kenya University main campus in Nairobi. His academic and research interests include forager and pastoralist ecology in arid and semi-arid lands, subsistence transformation, environmental management and resource conservation, resource use conflicts and peace management, social and strategic impact assessment, qualitative and participatory research methods, among others. We also have another presenter who is a young lady, and I'm very happy to also see young ladies coming up in different fields. She's Balkisa. She's currently, maybe she can also stand up and she can wave. Balkisa is, as you can see, she's a Somali, and I'm very proud of her. She's currently a PhD candidate and postgraduate teaching assistant at Aston University, pursuing her interest in labor rights and its role in international law. She's currently conducting doctorate research assessing the ILO's capacity as the International Agency for Enforcing Labor Standards. She completed her undergraduate degree in law with politics at Keele University in 2011 and graduated with an LLM from the University of Birmingham in 2012. LLM is Masters in Law. So I think with that you need actually to applaud her. That's very good. Then last but not least, I have my good friend Dr. Kennedy. He's also Somali and happens to be a Somalian too. Dr. Kennedy, I've worked with him at the university. He's one of the good associate professor. He's the director of the Center of Frankincense Environmental and Social Studies that is hosting this conference today. He's currently involved in several ongoing research projects focusing on the Horn of Africa, international Frankincense trade, journalism and democracy in Somaliland, and development of nationalist discourses in relation to poetic and musical expressions in Djibouti, Somaliland, and Somalia. He's taught courses ranging from international relations, development studies to sociology and popular music, and also held consultancies with governments and international organizations. I also welcome him to be a visiting professor at Mount Kenya University, inshallah. So you can also have some exchange programs. We can also give you vacancies. You go to Nairobi, interact with our students, our faculty, management, so that you also have an upper hand in your experience. Thank you very much.
Strongly encourage him and promise him that from our end at Mount Kenya University and in Kenya, with the colleagues that I work with, I look forward to strong partnerships, especially partnerships that can provide homegrown solutions to our problems. I have a background in qualitative research that many people in research sometimes look at to be inferior, but time and again this approach to research has demonstrated that it provides better avenues of understanding social issues. The Center for Frankincense perhaps as the most promising initiative to address some of the social and economic problems that we face in the region. Besides our political differences, when those are settled and resolved, these areas are associated with loss, large stock dying away, and the image that is portrayed is a people that are almost helpless because they are overly dependent on those animals. And obviously there are so many questions. The first, of course, is water scarcity. Water in the form of rainfall that feeds into pastures, issues of climate change, climate variability, and weather patterns that are largely natural, that if you have your 100 goats and or 100 sheep and 100 cattle, they are wiped out, and it's because of nature. Yeah, and these problems are not new.
We'll have, again, more details. Now, the sources of environmental law in Somaliland, the first one I want to discuss is not even the first one on the list, it's actually the second one, Somaliland's constitution. Now, not all constitutions have got articles pertaining to the environmental protection or natural resource management, but Somaliland's constitution does. Article 18, subsection 1 of the Somaliland constitution directly refers to the protection and safeguarding of the environment. So that is a dual obligation right there, to not just care for the environment, but also combat any damage. So it's more than just prevention. It's a positive duty to ensure promotion of good practices. And this, again, is a duty that's on the state. Now, if you look at Article 34, subsection 4, there is amongst the citizen duties, there will be an obligation to care for, protect, and save the environment. These are, again, very wide terms, but they're a heavy duty if you think about how the Constitution has got a significant value and importance in place when it comes to legal systems and in terms of the formation and the running of the government. And so from skipping back to the first point, we have a specific ministry that deals with the environmental and rural issues. It's the Ministry of Environment and Rural Development, which was established in 1997. They are currently working on a national environmental policy, which has not yet been approved, but is likely to be approved within this year, and will probably come into force in the next 3 years. And therefore, this research right now is very much at the beginning, where we could follow the development of these future policies and laws. Now, speaking of laws, there are laws that predate Somaliland's creation, which would be when before secession and before the establishment of Somaliland. Those laws are now slowly being replaced by other laws, and the two laws that are very specifically interesting to us would be the Forestry and Wildlife Conservation Act and the Law on the Prevention of Deforestation and Desertification. And earlier at the beginning, we also discussed the impact of international law on a country that's not internationally recognized. We will be discussing that later as well. Now, before I move on from this slide, I want to go back a second and look at the Constitution one more time, because there is another article which is actually very interesting and